If you're someone who feels stuck, standing at the edge of a big decision, wondering if you have what it takes to move forward, this episode is for you.
Driven by purpose, fueled by passion, my words got power, my thoughts have action, motivation, stay gracious, that's greatness, be audacious, motivation, be audacious, innovation, be audacious, inspiration, be bold, motivation, be audacious.
So that's the idea of maintaining our calmness is so critical to make the right decision.
This is in the sky. This is in the boardroom. This is in your one-on-one performance reviews, anywhere, job interviews, all that stuff. Like it, and there's a lot of science behind it.
Yeah.
As you know, right? Like there's adrenaline, and that also happens in the boardroom, the interview, all those places. But it's the acetylcholine, which is that focus. That's the neurotransmitter that's attached, associated with memory and focus. And it's why a lot of skydivers who are very analytical people, so engineers, medics, pilots, bankers, CPAs, like all these people who like the data, who have very active brains. But when you're in that moment, when you're in free fall, you cannot be anywhere else. It is life and death.
Let me ask you this. What do you do when your carefully laid out plans don't work? When the parachute you're counting on doesn't open? Here on the Audacious Living podcast, the goal is simple: to help you live your life with more courage, clarity, and audacity, especially when uncertainty shows up uninvited. Today's guest understands that reality better than most. Lana Starchuck is a motivational speaker, author, writer, and a veteran skydiver with over 1,000 jumps under her belt. She doesn't just talk about fear, resiliency, and leadership. She's lived them, including surviving a real-life parachute malfunction and translating that experience into a powerful lesson for life, leadership, and personal growth. This is a conversation about trust, recovery, confidence, and under pressure, and what it really means to expand your comfort zone, whether you're in the boardroom or at the crossroads or standing at an open door of an airplane. So without further ado, let's jump in. Lana, thank you for joining me here today on the Audacious Living podcast. This is a pleasure, an honor, and a treat. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Audley.
We're off to a flying start, and I was no pun intended, considering you spent a lot of time jumping out of flying planes as a skydiver. But I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. Much time on this podcast is spent talking about being fearless and being bold and strengthening our resiliency, because we know that the challenges of life are plenty and they're going to exist. So once we got that out of the way, we know that there's no easy roads in front of us. Now we can get ready to deal with what's in front of us. And sometimes, the mindset needed to deal with what's in front of us is no different than what you use to jump out of a plane, which is 3, 2, 1, go. So maybe as a starting point, Lana, I can get you to introduce yourself to our audience, talk about the work that you do, and what has gotten you to the point that you're at now.
Yeah, that is a very good introduction, precursor, because I have a portfolio career as a writer, producer, editor. I'm an author. I've been a food reporter. I've been a fitness instructor. I've taught English as a second language. I've had all these different paths in my career. And the latest one being a motivational speaker, because I was let go from my full-time job in March of 2025. So since then I went full throttle because I was starting to do it already. I do journalism freelance.
Yep. Okay.
And some ghostwriting, which is super interesting. But the speaking, because of my theater background,
beautiful.
I'm formally trained as a theater actor. So I thought I'm just going to bring everything together. And I've been skydiving for almost 20 years now. I have over 1,000 jumps.
Wow.
And I have been giving back to my own skydiving community, doing coaching, sort of load organizing with less experienced jumpers at my home drop zone, which is in the Niagara region of Ontario, near Niagara Falls and St. Catharines area.
Yeah.
And that's now my keynote talk is called What Happens When Your Parachute Fails, a toolkit for fear, risk, and resilience,
Mm, mm,
based
mm.
on a true story. The title, also the title of my next book, which is coming out next year,
Good for
What
you.
Happens When Your Parachute Doesn't Open and Other Successes, with failures crossed out. I've got failures crossed out in the title on purpose because I believe failure gets a bad rap.
Hmm.
I fancy myself somewhat of an expert at it, having been through the parachute malfunctions, a couple of marriages, some restructuring at corporate jobs, car accidents, all these things, right? What does this teach you? Because I don't think it's about the failure. I think it's about the recovery.
Absolutely. It's what you do when the mishap happens. And as much as we call it mishap, it really is, the opportunity of growth. And I love the reframing, failure and turning into successes. I think that's where the most important lessons come from. Of those moments where we thought we failed, and I actually, it's something I refer to as the fail forward advantage. That failure gives you an advantage to learn, to grow, to develop. So put it this way: you try something. Now, first off, if you try something and you're doing it for the first time, let's be real. We're probably going to suck at it. And there's no guarantee that we're going to have success or we're going to get to where we need to get to. But let's just play this through. So you try something the first time, one of two things are going to happen. You're going to get that success. Yay for you. Congratulations. Or it may not work out. Let's stick with the may not work out because that's where probably most of us are going to end up there, right? So if it doesn't work out, what has happened? You learn what not to do. You learn how to do it better. You've probably picked up maybe some streamlined approach of how to do it even faster next time. And so you've walked away with these lessons, these knowledge experience. And I truly, truly believe that a failure, you really haven't made a mistake in failure unless you walk away with the experience without the lesson.
Yeah, if you
If there's, if there's no lesson, then you failed.
exactly. It's my core belief as well, Audley. Truly, those are the words that I say. What did you learn? How did you grow? It's data, it's information. We're living in a data-driven world. So that failure, and then it's what steps do you take? What changes do you make? Because that's
Mm.
the plan we're all on, really. That's what we're doing every day. We make a plan, we execute, we review the results, make some changes, do it again.
Well, I would like well. For example, and you gave a lengthy list of different professions and careers and jobs that you've gone in, and many may view, oh, you didn't do this didn't work out, and you're balancing it. But those are all things that fed into where you are now. Like we're a collection of experiences, right? And all these experiences come into play, and there's oftentimes a common kind of red thread that feeds through and permeates through everything that we've done. And that red thread leads us to where we are now. And now we can draw back from different things that we've done to go, oh yeah, let's do this. Let's try this. Let's do this. Let's incorporate this into your unique self. And that helps craft you. It gives you intention. It makes you more purposeful. It helps you maybe define your North Star clear. There's so much that comes from that. And so maybe, Lana, I can get you to sort of talk about the things that you've done and how they've helped you now to where you're at now. When you look at your past, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I was on this other podcast with the guys. They shut down the podcast, but it's called Rejected Central.
Okay,
Their theme, they have a nice signature mug.
got you. I need to get on that. Gee,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, they're not doing it anymore. They
No,
got
I gotta get my mug game. The mug game is on point. I gotta get on that. That's what I'm
oh,
talking about.
sure you need a mug. And what I loved what they were doing about re normalizing rejection. And I made discovery while on the podcast. Brent said, what I see happens with you is when you have a rejection, when you have a failure, it's your pivot. You just come back with something creative. And so that and he's right, and that's what's happened in my whole career, even way back when I was in theater school in Montreal. And I graduated and I wasn't getting work, going on auditions, doing things. I wrote my own play. I cast myself in the play, right? I found a way through it because I do a lot of yoga and meditation to sort of calm down my busy mind. And with yin yoga, the principle is the only way out is through.
Got you.
So another example is getting restructured yet again this last March, and now pivoting, doing my own thing, putting myself out there. I joined
Beautiful.
the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers, CAPS. It's a great community. I don't know if
It
you're
is.
a member.
I was a member of CAPS for many many years. Still have dear friends that are part of CAPS. I oftentimes say I need to circle back, but yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And very early in my speaking career, CAPS played an integral role in sort of me and who I am, and I'm still very much connected to them.
Yeah, so I'm doing the business starter track now, and
Yeah,
I'm getting the work. I just came back from a Western Canada tour. I
yeah,
went to Winnipeg, did a little half-day resilience workshop with some CPAs,
yep.
and then spoke at my mom's seniors condo in Melville, Saskatchewan, where I grew up. And oddly, they were the best
I love it.
audience. Double,
I
no pun
love it.
intended, oddly and they had so many questions about the skydiving and the parallel
Beautiful,
because
beautiful.
I'll just say a note of how my talk unfolds is I use the 10 guiding principles that I've found work, and they are proven in my skydiving life and my career and my
Yep,
family community. Things like trust, confidence,
absolutely.
awareness, perseverance, consistency, these types of things. And the where was I going with that? This audience, they really related to that. And with that one, it was courage and confidence at any age,
I
because
love it.
I honestly don't think that's an excuse.
It is not. My 82-year-old mother is a YouTube expert, and it's fun to watch her jump around. And there's one day when it really spoke, like when it really hit me. She said, "We're talking about something," and she said, "Oh, I've got to figure out how to do this. Oh, I'll just look up on YouTube." I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, okay." Like 2 weeks ago, you couldn't even turn on a cell phone. Wow, this is impressive, right? And so, yeah, I think courage and confidence at any age is a great message. Um, because it's true. There's truth to it. It's a universal truth. And so I'm glad that you had that experience. I'm curious. This is the Audacious Living podcast. If you were to sort of identify, the most, audacious decision that you've ever made, and well, not so much what did you do, but what did it cost you?
Audacious. So, meaning I was gonna say, like, now that I want to be a speaker, I am a speaker, I'm starting out, I'm getting the gigs, I'm growing my business, but I'm hanging out with speakers. This is probably the best advice I've had from people. If you want to be an author, hang out with authors. If you want to be a speaker, if you want to be a pilot, hang with like whatever it is. And I don't know if that's an audacious choice, but back when before I published my first book, I remember distinctly going to this Toronto Women's Writers Salon, which was
Okay.
full of like very experienced, heavy hitter, like big names in Canadian literature. And a friend of mine said, "Oh, you should go for sure." And I'm like, "I'm nobody, like, I'm not going to fit in." She's like, "Go, show up. It's very inviting. People they'll welcome you in, I promise." And sure enough, that's what happened. I was afraid. I don't know of what, fear of the unknown, right?
Yeah.
That's all it is. And that's what
Yep.
I talk about too, which is actually potential, possibility, opportunity. So I show up, scared in my boots, bottle of wine in hand, knock on the door. It was Margaret Webb at the time. I'm going to name drop. There was people like Alyssa York, Catherine Kuttenbauer, Sarah Henstra, all these women. And sure enough, I've been in that group now for over 10 years. I wouldn't be where I am today without that group. Mentorship is another one of my often overlooked guiding principles.
Yes.
I believe so strongly. It's networking, it's all that stuff, but mentorship. So I don't know if that answers the question of an audacious move.
Hmm.
And what did it cost me? Well, nothing. I mean, it cost me learning.
Right.
And again, it's sort of the same thing with CAPS. I joined it. Well, that cost me a dollar amount. There's a membership fee, but
Sure.
also I think the cost is outweighs the benefits, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does, and it's, I think it's an important question when we talk about cost. Is an important question that people answer, because when you stop and answer, you'll realize that very same point, that yeah, the benefits still are plentiful, right? And what you walk away with is still immense. And again, I was a member of CAPS for 4 or 5 years, I want to say, and to this day, there's conversations, there's relationships, there's friendships, there's connections that were made there that have not gone anywhere, right? And so, again, when we talk about the cost, I think that cost benefit analysis is an important process to go through, right? Because it really gives a good picture of where we're going.
And it doesn't necessarily mean monetary.
That's right. That's
Right?
right.
Time, what does it cost you? Energy, obviously. But then what you put in is what you get out. That's not a new idea either. What was I going to say about caps? Oh, with that, I also think it's and this happened with one of my writing mentors early on, Sarah Selecki. She's a writing has an online writing school, and I thought she's just giving away all her secrets. Like she's like, here's how you write a book, and here's all the tips, and here's a bunch of resources. And I'm like, everybody's just gonna go write books and be famous, and that's her competition, right? Well, obviously it doesn't work that way, like. And the older I get, the more experience I have. It's a ridiculous idea, even with caps, right? Like these are your peers. This is your competition. But everybody will say there's enough
Yeah.
room for everyone.
Oh yeah, it's a wonderful community.
Absolutely. And that also, then it reminds me of my own message being authentic, right? We are authentic by default. I'm not going to have the same talk as somebody else. I'm not going to write the same book as somebody else. Like it or not,
Right.
this is what you're stuck with, right?
Got you. I like the way you put that. I agree with that. I'm curious to know. I'd love to know how skydiving first entered your life, one, and what made you keep jumping.
Yeah, great question. I had my first jump was years ago, 1996, just to date that. Friends, I was in theater school at the time. My friend's 18-year-old son wanted to go for a jump. She wanted to have nothing to do with it. I hadn't put too much thought into it. And
Okay.
so we went. I drove him out to the drop zone and we did our jump. It was just from 5,000 feet. So there was no free fall. We did a day-long course and we landed ourselves on radio and checked that off. 11 years later, I was going through my first divorce, and I had a friend who was a jumper at Skydive Burnaby, and she's like, "Oh, you should come to the drop zone, just get out of town." I'm like, "Great, that's a great idea." And I thought, "Oh, I should jump." She's like, "Of course you should jump." So I did a tandem skydive then, 13,000 feet, minute of free fall, very different experience. And I was hooked, no turning back. So it was, for me personally, it's been a bit of a slow build.
Okay.
I because I say I have over 1,000 jumps. I've been in it almost like 17 years, and which it's not a competition. Life gets in the way. It's pretty expensive sport to get into. But when my dad passed away in 2012, it was a bit of a wake up call.
Hmm.
That's the same year I had the malfunction of the parachute not opening. So a couple of things happened there, and I thought, just reevaluating, what am I doing with my time? Where do I want to be? What's going on? So I started jumping more. I started doing bigger formation
Mm.
and training a bit more. So that's what I do now is formation jumps with other
Okay.
people.
Okay.
And people have said, they're like, well, you have this many jumps. Like, what's next? You're done. Well, couldn't be further from the truth. If any, like any sport, you can always get better. You can always improve. I am not an Olympic well, it's not in the Olympics, but I do have 5 medals to my credit, for when I have competed.
Congratulations.
But it's an upward learning curve, lifelong, with all those principles. And it is the best metaphor. I'm biased, of course, but big wave formation skydiving, the fundamentals are consistency and repetition.
Gotcha.
Show up, do your job,
Yeah.
trust that everybody else is going to do their job. And of course, mistakes happen and you learn as you go. And it's a hard, like it'll knock you over. It'll give you a good push, a good
Right.
when you do make mistakes, and you learn fast. And
Yes.
that's what I've taken into other areas of my life too, the business, the projects that do all the production.
Lana, I so love the manner in which you casually talk about your parachute not opening up. Like, can you tell? I mean, obviously you've lived it, and but just so like I'm going, oh my gosh, are you killing me? Are you telling me? But you're just, oh yeah, my parachute didn't open up. And please, sir, expand. Tell us a bit more of that experience, and again, what you walked away with, because it sounds like there's some really big lessons that you took from it.
Yeah. Oh, well, you want to hear the story? It was 2012, and it was a nice sunny July day at Skydive Burnaby, and I had a fun 140 jumps at the time.
Okay.
So pretty novice in the big picture, but still equipped, emergency procedures. Safety is number one in skydiving. People might not think that's what it is, but you review emergency procedures constantly, repeatedly, all the time. So I was doing one of these formations, a smaller one, just a few of my friends. We went in the plane. We got up to altitude. You can see Niagara Falls from the plane. It's beautiful. The red light goes on, and we go to the door. We get all positioned. Green light goes on. As you can imagine, that means go. So we do our shake, 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 up, down, out. We're in free fall. We make shapes in the sky by holding onto each other's arms and legs. So we rehearsed it on the ground. Jump goes well. We turn and track away at a predetermined altitude,
Okay.
4,500 feet in this instance. Track to 35. I wave off. That's to make sure we have space to clear to when we deploy. We don't
Yep.
hit anybody.
Yep.
Deploy. Nothing happens. Unlike the 139 times before.
Mhm.
So I I stopped breathing. I'm not breathing. It's terminal velocity, 120 miles an hour. I got nothing above my head except that clean blue sky that Mary Oliver talks about in her poem. And I all I see is this. All I see is this. So what happens is when I deployed, there's a little parachute that's attached to a bridle that's attached to this pin
Okay.
on the back of the bag that inflates and opens the bag. It pulls that pin, the strap opens, and the main parachute opens. Well, that
Yep.
that little parachute didn't inflate. It was just flapping there. So this
Okay.
is at this point is beyond fear, beyond thinking. It's too late, it's too fast. There's no time. So, but my awareness, profound.
Okay.
In that moment, extreme speed became slow motion, and I reach to my
Mm.
side. I pull my handle. My secondary parachute opens in an instant.
Got it.
That's how it's designed to work. So
Yes.
I'm at ease. I can breathe. I'm above
Right.
the drop zone. Lake Erie is sparkling to the south, the golf course to my east. I do my landing pattern, and 15 feet above the ground, I flare. I pull the toggles down.
Yeah.
All the air comes out of the canopy, and I land softly, safely, home, safe. So failure
Yeah.
for sure. Parachute didn't open.
Yeah, no, 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 no. I get that, but the calmness in your reaction. So again, we talked about our response. Clearly, I heard your emotions clearly are in check. So I think what people don't realize is the physiology around when we get into these situations where we're stressed or maybe life and death situations or whatever takes place, the physiology that happens to our bodies and to our brains and how they impact our ability to make decisions. Like, our bodies go into flight or fight mode, and the blood leaves our brains and flow, all over, the rest of our bodies. And without that blood flow to our brains, we're not able to rationally, calmly make the appropriate decisions in those key moments. And so that's the idea of maintaining our calmness is so critical to make the right decision.
This is in the sky. This is in the boardroom. This is
Yeah.
in your one-on-one performance reviews, anywhere, job interviews, all that stuff. Like it, and there's science, there's a lot of science behind it.
Yeah.
as you know, right? Like there's adrenaline, and that also happens in the boardroom, the interview, all those places. But it's the acetylcholine, which is that focus. That's the neurotransmitter that's attached, associated with memory and
Mm,
focus. And it's why a lot of skydivers who are very analytical people, it's people might think it's, societal misfits full of tattoos and recovering addicts, which is true, but there's also engineers, medics, pilots, bankers, CPAs, like all these people who like the data, who have
yeah.
very active brains. But when you're in that moment, when you're in free fall, you cannot be anywhere else. It is life and death in that. So it's a heightened sense of what you might find, on ground in whatever situation in the workplace you find yourself in. And then followed after the acetylcholine, it's dopamine,
Mm,
we're probably most familiar with, right? The check mark,
yeah.
the yay,
Yep.
did it,
Yep.
and makes you want to do it again.
I can see that. I'm wondering. I think to myself oftentimes, do I want to do it the first time? Why not? Like, I'm sure you've encountered all sorts of people that think, oh, one day I want to do that, or I'm never doing that, right? I guess you get the gamut of responses from individuals.
Well, I have my new program coming out in the spring, which is Sky High Stakes. So it's a talk, one of my talks, a little more mindfulness plus a tandem skydive, followed by a follow-up. Because oddly, I went to Ivy Business School. I was invited there to speak to a class of entrepreneurs, future
Okay.
entrepreneurs. And the prof is doing a great job over there of getting these people to expand their comfort zone. So don't they all sign up to do a skydive the next
Oh,
day?
wow.
70 people. I was like, he's not going to get everybody to do that. Well, sure enough, they had to take the whole month of October to schedule themselves in. But I'm like, here's a model, right? And so I went out there with them,
Yep.
and they after they do the jump, and it affects everybody differently. But I'm going to put a reel together because I got some video of them saying, I feel so great, I'm confident now, I can go out, ask for my
Beautiful.
funding, I'm less afraid, all these things. It was
I love
just
it.
so beautiful. That transformation is palpable. You
Yes.
Experiential learning doesn't get
Yeah.
more than that.
No,
But
that's
but I
awesome.
get three answers when I'm starting to look for participants who's interested. Number one is never, hard
Nope.
stop. Number two, sign me up. When are we going? And number three is yeah, I've thought about it. So it's those twos and threes. That's
We're
going, right?
trying to convert the word to ones.
And of course it's not for everyone. And I'm not here to make people do anything they don't want to do. You don't need to jump out of a
Sure.
plane to expand your comfort zone.
No, that's a great point. That is a great point. I'm curious, with 1,000 plus jumps under your belt, is there anything that still scares you about it?
Uh, Scares me. Well, I'm scared of messing up the jump for others because I do these camps and I do these events,
Hmm.
and you don't want to be the one who does make the mistake
Sure.
that screws it up, right? Like in this past August, I was very privileged to be part of an elite group of 250 skydivers in the sky at the same time outside of Chicago in a place called Ottawa, Illinois. And it
Okay.
was it was the first ever, well, since 2006, something that big, and one of the few in the world that happened that's that large. As you can appreciate, 250 people, almost 50 countries represented, and 11 planes, 14 pilots, countless tanks of oxygen, fuel. It was nuts. It was just I that's a talk on its own, which is called Do the Impossible. If you think things are impossible, think about that, right?
Wow.
And and mistakes happen. We didn't actually get to do the design. It's highly designed, highly engineered people. All the coaches. There was 11 coaches as well who are deciding where to put people. They know how people jump. You had to qualify to be part of this all year long. Like, and there's nobody there with less than 500 jumps for sure. So it's a top level. But mistakes were made, right? We had
Sure.
we had 6 attempts to try and break. It was actually an Illinois state record of 246 people from 1998, which took them 23 times. So we got 6 because we had 2 full days of weather. We couldn't jump, and not to say that that's a cop out, but we got close, and it's
Yep.
testament to the discipline, to how the quality of this jumping. So yeah, that if anything scares me, it's that, thing malfunction stuff not working, but again, emergency procedures, you constantly that's
Right.
part of the game.
You fall back on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got you. Got you. You talked about the importance of the experience, right? And learning from that, the experiences, and having go through those experiences to learn from. One of the things that I think experiences also teaches us is understanding resilience, and even how to be more resilient. I wonder if you could expand on that a bit, how important the experience piece is connected to our resilience development.
I think that's it. I think you can't have the resilience if you don't have the experience.
So you're not getting in a textbook then, for sure.
That's what I talk about. No, this is the stuff they don't teach you in business school, for sure. And like you said earlier on in our conversation, it's we are made of experiences,
Yeah.
and we can't change the past. We can't live in the past. A lot of us I know ruminate. I'm guilty of it myself. We can't live in the future either. So there's that balance of doing it now, learning from your experience. And I do truly believe, and I don't see another way around this equation, that you are where you are because of your experiences.
Yes. Yes.
Chips, the good times, all of it has brought you to this moment, because we have, those of us who are privileged to have choice in what we do with our time and who we spend it with, that's shaping you. That is your journey, and
Right.
the uniqueness too. So I had one more point, but I forgot what it was about being on this path. You're meant to be where you are. Oh,
Hmm.
impermanence.
Okay.
I love this idea of impermanence because it sort of takes the pressure off. If things are going great,
Yep.
awesome. But it won't always be like that. But when things are not so great, you're in a valley, you're in a slump,
Yep.
also very important to keep in mind, it can't stay that way. It won't.
Right.
That's that's the cycle of life.
And so, yeah, so it's important to, and it's funny, I oftentimes will sort of talk about life being like hills and valleys, right? And so hills is great, wonderful. There's satisfaction, there's joy, there's peace, there's happiness, there's all these beautiful things. But because life is a continuum, we are going to be down those valleys. The key is not to stay there. Like, and I would never tell anyone, no, you can't feel bad. You shouldn't feel bad. Our feelings are feelings. Our emotions are emotions. They are going to come. But when they come, it's what you do with them, right? And do you use that to stay where you're at, or is it rocket fuel to kind of get you out of that slump that you're in? And that's the significance of those valleys. I think we need them, because I truly, truly, truly believe with all my heart that on the other side of these setbacks is kind of where the great successes are, right? Like they just not, and I even think personally, every time I had a setback, or something, I was like, okay, what do I do now? And I oftentimes joke and say that, when it comes to problems, right? I'm batting 1,000, because every problem I've had, I found a way over it, and I know that because I'm here right now. I wouldn't have got here if that problem held me back, right? And so, yeah, impermanence, I think, is a beautiful, beautiful way of encapsulating that, because I think it's so, so, so true, Lana. What does skydiving teach us, or maybe about leadership? Maybe any lessons that come from skydiving that you can translate into leadership?
Well, I have been fortunate to have been coached by some of the greats in the sport.
Okay.
And these people are in a league of their own, in my opinion. They are so, well, they're generous with their experience, then they're humble
Okay.
in how good they are. So I do freelance writing for the United States Parachute Association magazine called
Okay.
Parachute. And I wrote an article about load organizers. Do you have what it takes to be a load organizer?
Okay.
And those are the people who design the jumps, who coach the people,
Okay.
put them where they are. LO for short. Who's LOing?
Okay. Yep. Yep.
Lingo is interesting. So I interviewed five people who I've jumped with. One person I didn't even know, but she was recognized in the community, and it's there, and they're talking about, so they're leading the charge. And one of them was funny. She said she just likes being around A-type personalities and trying to wrangle that. It is a bit of herding cats, but again, what is the leadership within there? The stakes are high, but also it's the two extremes. In skydiving, we say slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Okay. Yep.
And that's a good leadership trick too. Not trick, it's just a truth too. Because if you are trying to rush through things, and I know we all do this,
Sure.
like you're trying to leave the house and all of a sudden the coffee spills, the keys are lost, and instead of just taking your time,
Mm.
back, have a think, focus, just like that malfunction when that parachute didn't open.
Yep.
You got this. I think that's probably the best leadership, like the authenticity as well. You're leading from your values, you're leading with empathy. Those are the best people I like to jump. But those leaders,
Yes.
I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to bring that back and give it back when I'm doing it at my home drop zone with the people I'm working with now.
Mhm.
And it's seeing people's strengths and it's bringing out the strengths in people. The one guy who the main organizer of that 250 jump,
Mhm.
he's so good at what he does of positive reinforcement. I do that when I teach creative writing too. Like you can look at somebody's work and say, well, make it better. Well, that's not helpful feedback, right? You need
Right.
more of this. Find something good and build on that. Obviously, recognize your weaknesses, recognize your strengths,
Sure. Yeah.
go from there. But that positive feedback, that's any manager, any director I've worked under has had that same mindset. So it's very clear when you're at a skydiving skills camp, it's the same recipe. Those are the same types of people that you want to follow.
Mm. Um, two words come to mind. They happen to start with letter C, but that's just coincidence. Not to C too, but that wasn't one of the two words. Courage and confidence are the two words that come to mind. That as we're talking here, they ring true and very strongly in terms of how they fit in the overall jumping out of a plane mindset, if you will, right? They're very closely linked, aren't they?
For sure, for sure. And I love those words. I use them a lot because courage is actually vulnerability. You know, Brene Brown has made $1 million career on that idea alone, which I truly believe. The more courageous you are, that's vulnerability, which links into humility that I like to also pepper that
Mm,
into the mix because it's admitting fault. It's being
right.
open to learning from others. Huge. And also, well, yeah, we are conditioned in this life to get it right, to have the answers. And even as leaders, you get more respect if you say, you know what, I don't know. What, but let me find out.
Got you.
Let me
Yeah.
look at it, right? And the confidence piece, I love talking about confidence from the angle that it's not necessarily being ego driven and having those answers, but it's being at ease amidst change.
Got you.
That's that's I talk about it in skydiving. Sometimes you are not over top of the drop zone when you open your canopy. You have to land off. And anytime you go to a new drop zone, you'll get a briefing. So you look at an aerial map of the place, and the
Yep.
owners will tell you, okay, here's a nice field, here's a horse farm, here's a driving range, gun firing range. You probably don't want to land there. It's happened outside of Montreal. And golf courses, right? I've
Yeah.
landed on golf courses before. Very nice, actually, because it's very manicured. You don't make a habit of it, but it's that having that confidence for that example. You got to make a decision quickly. And if you can be at
Sure.
ease,
Yep.
it's going to serve you better. Again, that slowing down in this fast-paced society, culture, time we're living in, everybody says it's unprecedented. I don't know what time is not unprecedented.
It's true. Yeah. Fair. Fair. No, no, I like that. I like that. There's a part around again the idea of jumping out of planes and skydiving that I think is also very applicable and something when when you think about in the framework of just being audacious and having to be accepting of is accepting of uncertainty. You don't know what's exactly going to happen. You can prepare and you can do all the things and but you can't say with 100% certainty this is what it is. But you still jump anyways. And there's a quote from Martin Luther King that I absolutely love that talks around taking that first step when you can't see the rest of the staircase, but you go anyways, right? And so it's the idea of yeah, just go and the training and the preparation all those sorts of things you want to rest on that to assist you if there is if a parachute doesn't open up, but there's great value in taking that first step and just going anyways, isn't there?
100%. It expect the unexpected. You and jump. It's probably there's the I love the Martin Luther King quote, Joseph Campbell, there's a chasm, jump. It's probably not as wide as you think. And you will, and that circles back to trust as well.
Yeah,
Trust
yeah,
your ability, trust that and it's got to be the right time, like there's that too. If it's not the right time, trust that too. If there's been times where people at the drop zone where if it's like even if it's too windy or they're not feeling good, it's like I'm not going to jump today. Trust that.
got
Yeah,
you.
don't do it. We say you'd rather be on the ground looking, wishing you were in the sky than in the sky, wishing you were on the ground.
I like that one. I'm gonna make note of that one. Laura, this has been really insightful, and I've very much sort of appreciated the perspective. We're not quite wrapping up yet, but we want to get into something we like to do here. We call it a fearless fast round, kind of rapid fire questions. You throw the first thing that comes to mind. You up for it? What do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, heck, if you jump out of planes, what's the fast round? That's nothing, right? Something light and easy to get you started, okay? What scares you more, heights or stagnation?
Stagnation.
Yeah. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning now.
Okay, all right. The most underrated courage building habit.
Underrated courage. Consistency.
Ah, I like that one. I like that one. A mantra that you keep in your back pocket.
Expand your comfort zone.
Hmm. Your favorite skydive, sunset, or sunrise, or storm clearing.
Storm clearing? Oh, I don't know what that means. I'd say sunset.
Yeah, those are the, yeah. Okay, okay, okay. Uh, coffee, tea, or adrenaline.
Oh boy, coffee and well, actually all three.
The biggest misconception you think people have about fear.
That they can't get over it.
Hmm. What's your superpower?
Making people feel at ease.
Okay. Um, biggest biggest pet peeve during a skydiving briefing.
People talking.
Hmm. A book that you recommend the most.
When things fall apart.
Okay. Last one here for you. What's the one thing that describe or one word rather that describes skydiving to you?
Ah, openness.
Very fitting, just like parachute. Nice. I love it. That's very, very nice. Nicely done. Uh, Lana, for listeners that wanted to learn more about you, connect with you, you said you got a book on the way, right?
Yeah.
Where can we send them?
You can visit lanastarchuck.com. That's LANASTARCHUCK. A lot of people miss this K, the C there. It's my Ukrainian heritage, lanastarchuck.com. I'm on LinkedIn. I post there quite a bit, Instagram somewhat, and I have a monthly newsletter that goes out on the 11th of every month. I started it
Okay.
on my birthday this year, August 11th. So if you want to get on the mailing list, please do. It's called the a Resilience Reset, a
Ah,
15,500 foot perspective.
oh, I love it. I love it. No, I like you for a reason. August 11th is my daughter's birthday. So there we go.
Yay, nice. Leo.
We will make sure that we put all the appropriate contact details in the show notes below. Lana, this has been awesome. Had a great time. I really appreciate the insights, the passion, the energy, the love for what you do, but particularly the difference that you want to make for others in a really, really profound and positive way. So thank you for all that. And thank you for being a guest today here on the Audacious Living Podcast.
Thank you so much, Audley. My pleasure.
Back we are here on the podcast. You know, one of my biggest takeaways from my conversation with Lana is this: resiliency isn't about avoiding fear or failure. It's about how you respond when they show up. What I really appreciate about Lana's perspective is how grounded it is. You know, she reminds us that courage isn't an absence of fear, confidence isn't pretending you have all the answers, and leadership isn't about control. It's about awareness, preparation, and staying present when pressure hits. And, you know, this conversation really hit home for me because I recently had a moment where I felt that fear in real time. You know, a couple weeks back, I was at a podcast. I was at Podfest in Orlando, Florida, and you know the conference had wrapped up. Everything was going smoothly, and on that last day, I was ready to go home. And I, you know, had a couple hours before my flight. I arrived at the airport. You know, everything was moving nicely. I returned the car rental. I was on my way to my desk when I realized I forgot my passport. Ouch! It was still back at the hotel, which was about a half hour away. I made no mistake. I absolutely felt that fear, that pit in my stomach, that panic, you know, that sinking feeling when you realize something has gone wrong. Now, I didn't try to avoid it or pretend it wasn't there. I felt it. And here's the key. I didn't let that fear take over because, you know, I'd lose valuable time if I did, you know. Instead, I responded. I called an Uber immediately, jumped in, told the driver what was going on, you know, and then on the way back to the hotel, I called the front desk and explained the situation. You know, when they answered the phone, they said, "We already have your passport, and we were expecting your call." And, you know, when I got to that lobby, it was waiting for me. I grabbed it, jumped back in the Uber, returned to the airport, made my flight with no issues. You know, the problem wasn't forgetting the passport, and the lesson wasn't about avoiding the fear. The lesson was about what you do when fear shows up. And that's exactly what Lana was talking about. You know, when the parachute doesn't open, when the plans fall apart, when life throws something unexpected at you, fear is going to be there. You know, emotion is going to be there. You can't avoid it. It's what you choose to, how you choose to respond when it arrives. You know, audacity isn't about never feeling afraid. It's about staying present, trusting yourself, and taking the next right step in spite of it. You know, if this conversation resonated with you, I encourage you to connect with Lana. You know, check out her work. You know, she's got an upcoming book, What Happens When Your Parachute Doesn't Open. And of course, she talked about her Resilience Reset newsletter. Comes out every month on the 11th. You know, again, we got all those links waiting for you in the show notes below, so be sure to check it out. If you found value in this episode, please take a moment to like, share, and leave a review. Every share helps this message reach someone who needs it. You know, because, you know, when you choose to grow audaciously, you don't just change your own life, you help change the world. So until next time, keep living your life audaciously.
Driven by purpose, fueled by passion. My words got power, my thoughts have action. Motivation,